Headline: Tesla blamed drivers for failures of parts it long knew were defective. And it looks like the wheels are falling off over at Tesla for Elon Musk. And I mean that both metaphorically and literally. Literally, the wheels are falling off Teslas. We're going to go through some of the headlines. And it's funny, I don't plan to make Tesla videos all day, every day. But frankly, this has been the most interesting drama / news going around the markets. And we got to talk about it. So essentially what's going on is that they're facing a series of bad news. And this latest one is an extensive report by Reuters. They got a ton of documents, interviews with employees, customers, and again, documents that show that Tesla knew that their parts weren't so great. Moreover, talking about drama that's been happening the last few weeks, as you guys know, they had to recall 2 million cars. They had autopilot problems. They're also under investigation by the government. Are you misleading? Are you false advertising? And also, too, if you saw my last video, they're the #1 car brand for car accidents. That is a real thing. It's pretty nuts. Moreover, this is all coming out December 20th, 2023. Tesla cut EV prices in China more than BYD. So that was the Warren Buffett-backed company in China. And essentially, if you're invested in this company, you want to make money. Of course you do, right? And so you want your company to have good margins, meaning that you make more money on your revenue / sales than your expenses. But when your margins are being cut because you are cutting prices, it's hard to make money. The way you'd have to do that is sell more cars, but you're facing increased competition. And the most interesting thing about this stuff is when I literally just go through the news and the facts of these kind of things, like the Tesla fanboys and girls get really, really upset. It's like facts tick them off. And I'll just tell you the truth. Don't get too emotional about these kind of things. For me, it's just a car. And, you can look at my video review of the Tesla Model 3 about 6 months ago. I actually like driving them. I think they're fun to drive. But to me, it's also just a car. I don't get too emotional about it. And I don't like put it on some holy, platform and stuff like that. There are many cars in the world. I like lots of cars. I like to drive cars, but it doesn't necessarily mean I have to pledge my allegiance and soul to any one brand. but in this day and age of social media, lots of kids want to join the cult of Tesla / Elon. Evidently, though, Elon has to testify regarding the Twitter thing. After all, you can see the headlines here. This is basically, did he use SpaceX or Tesla money inappropriately to buy Twitter? We're going to find out with that. And there's been crazy drama. This is so much drama today. That's why I had to talk about it. He's also in a fight with Disney's Bob Iger. So if you guys remember, it was like a week or so ago where Elon Musk did an interview and he said, hey, if you don't want to advertise on Twitter /X, then F you, basically. And actually, literally, he said F you. And moreover, I guess then they deleted the Disney Plus app on Tesla's infotainment system. So, they have a right to do whatever you like. It's just very interesting that you're picking a fight with Disney. It is what it is. And moreover, this was actually a pretty big news. Again, December 20th, 2023 is all the same day. Tesla skips employees' yearly merit-based stock compensation. And I was thinking about this, putting this all together. And we're going to go through the details of the wheels falling off in a moment. But I feel like essentially what's happening is all these people, went to work for Tesla, Elon Musk, et cetera, because he's exciting. He's the coolest dude in the world, et cetera. He's got a lot of money. You think you're going to make a lot of money. You get there, you're working there. He's kind of a jerk, but you're like, it's a famous company. I'm making a bunch of money. And then when this sort of money starts to, evaporate, because we're no longer in the printing money / zero / low interest rate environment, and you start to see that, like, why is my boss buying Twitter? Why is he doing crazy stuff? And now you're involved with the racist crap. And it's like, it's just too much drama. And then I feel like a lot of employees either want to get revenge, backlash, whatever you want to say. And when you do these kind of things and you mess with people's, stock compensation or promises, then people start to leak stuff. And this has been something that's happening at Twitter quite a bit. And we'll see if it ends up happening at Tesla. I have not mentioned this at all. This was a couple weeks ago, but this is yet another crazy thing. I'll just read the headline. Neuralink barrels into human test despite fraud claims. So the basic gist of this one is the Neuralink thing is like, did you hurt the monkeys? Did you not hurt the monkeys? Does your thing even work? That kind of stuff. So I don't even want to dive into that. It's just too much because we still have the Tesla drama to go over. And this is actually the big story of the day, to be perfectly frank. Again, Tesla blamed drivers for failures of parts it long knew were defective. I'm going to read the first part with you guys, and then I'll just kind of talk about the other bits. And if you're into cars, I want to hear your thoughts on this one because I think You will find this stuff really interesting. So here it is. Wheels falling off cars at speed. And even though we laugh about this kind of stuff, it's actually quite serious. I mean, just imagine you're driving your car on the freeway and your wheels fall off. That is very, very serious. It's people's lives on the line. So yes, we make jokes about Tesla, but I do want to make very clear that these are people's lives. Suspensions collapsing on brand new vehicles, axles breaking under acceleration. Tens of thousands of customers told Tesla about a host of part failures on low mileage vehicles. We're talking about basically new cars. The automaker sought to blame drivers for vehicle abuse, but Tesla documents show it had tracked the chronic flaws and failures for years. So they knew that their parts weren't good and they knew that their cars are falling apart, but you don't want to admit that publicly, of course, because you're a publicly traded company. Let's read the description here. Sharish Jain was ecstatic in March when he picked up his first electric vehicle, a brand new 2023 Tesla Model Y. He used a sizable chunk of family savings to buy it with cash. So I want to really emphasize these are real people buying real products, and you're buying a product that you put your family in and you're concerned about safety. So I take this stuff seriously, right? And he says, "We were over the moon," said Jane, electronics engineer in Cambridge, England. So this is in the UK. His exuberance came to a, quote, grinding halt one day with 115 miles on the odometer. So basically it's a brand new car. Jane told Reuters as he drove with his wife and 3-year-old daughter, he suddenly lost steering control as he made a slow turn into the neighborhood. The vehicle's front right suspension had collapsed and parts of the car loudly scraped the road as it came to a stop. So basically his car broke. There's a quote, "They were absolutely petrified." And I mean, I completely understand. And I hope you understand, like, this is a guy, he's with his wife and his daughter, and your car just breaks. But he was going slow, fortunately. He says here, if we were on a 70 mile per hour highway and this would have happened, that would have been catastrophic. The complex repair required nearly 40 hours of labor to rebuild the suspension and replace the steering column, among other fixes, according to a detailed repair estimate. The cost, more than $14,000. And again, this is a car that had 115 miles on it, like not 1,000, 115 miles, like basically it's a new car. Tesla refused to cover the repairs, blaming the accident on, quote, prior suspension damage. Jane is one of tens of thousands of Tesla owners who have experienced premature failures of suspension or steering parts. And this is all coming from Reuters, who looked at thousands of Tesla documents. Chronic failures in many relatively new vehicles date back at least 7 years and stretch across Tesla's model lineup across the globe, from China to the United States to Europe, according to records and interviews with more than 20 customers, 9 former Tesla managers or service technicians. And I wanted to just read that first part to you. Just I want you guys to understand, like these are human beings with their families. They're using their savings, buying these cars. When you're selling people a product, right, you want to maintain a long relationship with your customers, and these kind of things, especially when their lives are on the line, I think you want to take seriously, especially with your family, these kind of stuff. And it's been such a fascinating thing, because if you've been following these kind of stuff, and there's more descriptions of like other people who face these kind of problems, but that's the basic gist of it. New cars, they break, and then they take it into the service center, and then they say, oh, it's your fault, you're the one who hurt your car, etc. And there's like, well, I just bought it yesterday. Like literally, there's been reports of that kind of stuff. And so you would be really ticked off, of course, if you bought a new car and it suddenly breaks, and you would assume as a reasonable person, like, hey, this has got to be under warranty or something like that. So Tesla, I guess, has a history of saying screw you, essentially. And the problem with this is that it's not just an isolated incident or event. And again, this is, you guys, look, I can read this whole thing. Please just read it for yourself. But I can read through this, every single detail of this thing, but it's a whole bunch. And I'm just showing you guys, it's a massive thing. And the reason why I wanted to, sort of emphasize this kind of stuff with you guys, like the importance of it, is that, for those of you who are young kids thinking about doing business and these kind of things, what is the legacy that you want to leave in the world, and what is the mark that you want to sort of, put your name on or with? Myself personally, the way I teach my classes for years is that you want to put out quality products, you want to develop relationships with customers, and you want to obviously take this stuff seriously, because again, the people's lives are on the line. And the problem is, though, is like I was mentioned in many videos in the past, is that it's not just this one issue. There's other issues that have been popping up of like, how has Tesla been treating employees? You hear of complaints every now and then. You hear of lawsuits that get settled, right? They just pay someone a bunch of money to be quiet. You have issues of like, are they going to go union or not union? You have sexual harassment claims. They're under investigation by the government. This kind of stuff, like the things just keep stacking up. And sort of when you see Elon Musk really off the rails with the whole Twitter thing, I think people are starting to like feel like, well, it was worth it in the past, but it's just not worth it anymore. And I think that's sort of why we see this slew of things kind of really come into light. There's people on the inside that probably just like want to get paid and get out kind of situation. That's just sort of my opinion on this stuff. And the fascinating thing about this whole fiasco the last couple of weeks, they announced that Cybertruck thing, and it, basically didn't meet any of the promises that they had. And to see kind of the fanboys and fangirls just like play along with it. And it's so fascinating. And then suddenly this robot thing comes out, and then like you got these channels telling you they're going to build millions of these things, and you got these people like going along with it. And it's just like, how much longer is this charade going to go? I don't think much longer, to be perfectly frank. These kind of things are really damning. And to give you guys just some context here, at the very end of the article, they talk about like, compared to other car brands, because I think that's reasonable, right? How does it compare in terms of, what do you want to call it? In terms of reports. And essentially, it's right here. It was Tesla makes 1% of the road. Let's see, where is it? It's right. I'll find it. Actually, you know what I can do? I can just search for 1%. If you guys think I'm just making stuff up. Yeah, there it is. There it is right here. Tesla owners have filed about 260 complaints with the NHTSA over suspension and steering problems this year, compared to 750 General Motors, 230 for Toyota. And so first you're like, oh, well, look, Tesla only has 260 problems, but, GM has 750 and Toyota has 230, but you got to look at the market share. So GM has 21% of the U.S. cars in operation, Toyota 15, and Tesla less than 1%, right? So if Tesla's getting, just simple math here, if Tesla's getting 260 complaints, but they only, equate to 1% of the market, whereas Toyota is basically getting the same amount of complaints, roughly, right, 230, but they're 15 times greater market share than Tesla. That would basically show you that Tesla has 15 times more chance of problems in this data. There's many data sets you can look at, but as I said, in this particular situation, that's an easy comparison. So, this kind of stuff, like I said, please read it for yourself. It's called Tesla blamed drivers for failures of parts it long knew were defective. And this is kind of something that would be internal in a company. They would know which parts are broken or not broken. And essentially, they try to keep this stuff quiet because they want to keep selling you these things. And not only that, they want to charge you a premium to do it. So love to hear your thoughts on this kind of stuff. Appreciate your time, and be careful out there because this is serious. The wheels literally are falling off Tesla cars. Thanks again, and I'll catch you next video.